Hello, welcome. I'm so glad to be here tonight. Happy New Year. I am hoping to talk with you today about how just two simple activities can help boost your students' phonics memory, phonics knowledge, phonics memorization. Do you do this like I've seen? I've done it myself. You are teaching phonics. You're teaching like a rock star, getting through so much information, giving kids lots and lots of different activities. And yet, when you ask them to read a text with the very phonics pattern that you've been working on all week, they miss it. Why is that? Well, there's a host of reasons, but I want to talk about a couple of those reasons. It relates to this GIF, and then also offer you the two activities that are the best insurance against phonics information not sticking. Welcome. I'm Dr. Marty Ginsberg of Reading Simplified, and it's my mission here at Reading Simplified to help classroom teachers, homeschool parents, tutors, anyone teaching beginning or struggling reading, how to streamline their classroom instruction or their home instruction, and also accelerate those kiddos' reading achievement. So I am excited to be back here with you in the new year. And look, this GIF here that's rotating through these images is an example model of the stages that kids go through to become good readers. And why doesn't stuff stick at that word identification level on our triangle? That is the level where we're trying to get phonics to stick, so that if they see the word boat, they recognize it's B-B-O-T. They recognize that O-A as O. So that's word identification. Well, the model kind of explains one of the reasons that it's not working. Because of the bottom layer, the sound-based decoding. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, some of the reasons that phonics doesn't stick, and then we'll get into the two activities that help ensure phonics to stick. And then finally, I will offer some freebies so you can give these two activities a try. So I see we've got Krista in the house. Thanks for that great comment. She's using Switch It activities every day with her struggling first graders. Awesome. Switch It is a vital activity that we teach here at Reading Simplified. So I'm glad you just gave me that entree, Krista, because that is what will fill in this sound-based decoding foundation. It is a great activity where kids manipulate phonemes or letter sounds in words. So they have the word belt and they switch it to felt, and they keep switching every position in the word, moving phonemes. And so even they'll move like an SH as one thing because it's one phoneme or one sound, to turn wit into or win into wish. So this process of moving the phonemes around and while you're changing sounds while they're moving the phonemes or the letter sounds is one of the key activities that gives that strong sound symbol based decoding foundation. So before we talk about the two activities that I'm going to share with you tonight, I want to say, well, if you don't have that foundation, if you're not sure your kids have strong sound symbol decoding, then try Switch It and Read It. And those I'm not going to really talk about tonight. I talk about them a lot here at Reading Simplified. They are pivotal for getting kids to have that strong foundation here. This purple part of the triangle, those activities are what build that foundation. But in the post that's linked here in this video, or in this Facebook post, we'll give you some links to try those activities out, because you want to make sure the foundation is strong before you can build on it with these more tricky phonics pieces of information like the OA in boat and the OW in snow. Okay? So if you have seen kids get instructed in phonics and then not transfer that information, let me know about it. Let me know if it's frustrating to you. Or let me know if you have some solutions, Reading Simplified solutions or otherwise. We'd love to hear from you. So as Krista gave us the cue, we've got Switch It as an important part of the sound-based decoding, and Read It is the other one. I briefly described Switch It. Read It is similar in that we still emphasize phonemes or letter sounds, but then the students are working on blending the sounds to put them together left to right to hear a word. And in that activity, read it, we teach the very pivotal strategy, blend as you read. And that's where the students put the sounds together left to right to make a word that makes sense. So those two, switch it and read it, are the backbone. Those will give you the strong sound-based decoding beginning, or that strong foundation that's here in this triangle. And then when you do the two activities I'm going to suggest to you today, they will build that darker blue area, the word identification level, because they'll have a place to hook the information, and then the activities that we do, they will include enough repetition that they'll start to stick. So phonics information, if it's not sticking, it's because the kids don't see how sound and symbol are linked. They don't really hear each sound in boat or float as separate phonemes. F, o, t. So when they look at the OA, they don't really see very carefully that that's the O, and that the f and the l, those are the beginning part of that word flow. They don't get it very precisely or instantaneously like good, great readers do. So we build that really strong connection between sound and symbol with the simple activities of switch it and read it. And then once we've built that foundation, our students are much more able to learn the phonics information, which I'm going to show you. Okay, so if you're just popping in, let me know where you're from. I'd love to hear from you. So I'm going to move over to this one. So in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which is coming up, I'm going to give you this freebie, which is directly related to today's topic about these two activities. How can these two activities help boost reading? And in this case, they're going to boost phonics knowledge and boost kiddos' knowledge of Martin Luther King. So it'll be 2 for 1. Okay, so there we go. Oops. Give me a second while I move some things around. So what you have on the screen now is an example of the sort it page. Let me know, give me a thumbs up if you've seen the sort it page before, or give me a question mark in the comments if you haven't seen this. So I know some of you are new and some of you are just giving this, getting a refresher. So sort it is great for helping that advanced phonics information to stick. So what is different about sort it from traditional phonics instruction? Very often we see reading programs that say just teach one spelling or one spelling a day. So maybe on Monday the student learns OA as O. Then maybe on Tuesday the student learns EE as E. So it's, again, it's not the same sound, and it's also not all linked together. The O and the E are different, and there's not really any real obvious connection. Some might say that, well, there's that connection of the two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking, but that's a rule that's not a very good rule because it's true only about 40% of the time, like O-I, O-W, O-Y, O-U, I-E as in field. There's so many times in which 60% of the time that rule doesn't work, so I don't really like to group instruction by that rule. But there is a rule, if you will, that one sound, like the sound E, can have very many different spellings. So if you present them all at once, you're giving students like a schema or a mental framework for how all of those spellings can fit together. So this is in contrast to traditional instruction, right? Let me know, do you have a reading series that will tell you to do one spelling a day? I'd love to hear from you guys. Oh, great, Julie. Thanks. I'm so glad to hear from you. I'm glad that Lisa's brought you on. Great to hear that it's Reading Simplified is working well for you. So we're talking about sorted, and I know that Lisa must be using that because she's become a pro in our Reading Simplified Academy. It's a membership where we teach these very simple activities, just a handful, like switch it, read it, and sort it, and a few others that make a comprehensive reading session, guided reading session, so that you can boost those struggling or beginning readers. So back to this sorted. So this is pivotal. Instead of in isolation, or one by one, what if we give everyone at the same time all the spellings of the E sound? Look, here we have the E as in he, right here. The E as in sees, and the E as in many. The E sound in these, and the E sound in each year. And all of them are very similar. They're the E sound, but there's different representations of them. And we also help students learn these pieces of phonics so it sticks, not just because it's organized by sound, not just because they organize it in columns, which is like a mental framework, but the other thing that helps this stick is our key sentence, and that's one that you see down here. He sees many of these each year. And the key sentences are made up of words that have the target sound in them, E in this case, and they also are generally using high frequency top 300 fry words, so that it's a 2-for-1. The students get the spelling exposure over and over again, like the C's here and the C's in E here, but they also are getting that high frequency word C and many. So sorted is something you can do 2 or 3 times or more a week with different sets of words. So in the Reading Simplified Academy, we offer these types of pages, but you can make your own with a simple notebook paper and get high frequency E sound words or whatever the target sound is, and then have them sort them by spelling, choosing probably the most frequent spellings. For instance, we don't have some very irregular ones like the E in weird or and so on, because they're low frequency. So see, what do you think? If you haven't tried sorted, do you think it would be helpful for your kids to look at these words right here in a small group, read a word like eat, and figure out where it belongs, have to look at the spellings here very carefully, and then write the word eat. And when they write it, it's really important that they don't look back at the spelling, if they can help it, because they've got this cue right here that there's the E. It's also important that they say the sounds as they write it. So instead of saying E-A-T, eat, we want them to say eat. And that will help them get stronger sound symbol decoding, sound phoneme, graphing, matching, all of that sound-based decoding stuff that they can build their foundation on for memorizing phonics, memorizing high-frequency words. So Sort It is one of the 2 activities I'm going to recommend to you if you haven't tried it before to help ensure your phonics information sticks. And if you're just tuning in, we're talking about 2 activities that will help phonics information stick. And I also alluded to the fact that there is a couple of activities that are important to ensure that you have the strong foundation. So go to the post that's linked above so you can learn about those preliminary activities that kind of lay the groundwork and create the foundation. So Melody's here. She's in San Antonio. It's great to see you, Melody. I know Melody's a pro now with Sort It. So say and give any of your thoughts on that if you're inspired, Melody. So the other part of the activity, the 2 sets or the pairing of activities that I really recommend to you guys is is to read similar decodable text and reread it and then search for the sound. So what do I mean by decodable text that's similar? So you want to take text that's similar to this or the sound that you're targeting. So it has text that has a lot of that target sound. This one has a few of the E sounds in it. You can see the E in speech, which I have a hard time highlighting. There you go. And the E in years. And then there's that irregular people, the E in people, and the unexpected probably for young learners, the E in ideas. So you see there's multiple spellings of E, and the student, after reading this passage on Martin Luther King and of course discussing it, which is of most importance, but secondarily you can use the same text to reinforce phonics information, get that stuff to stick, go have them do search for the sound. So they read the text first, they discuss it, and then they go and they search for that sound. So this is an example of a text that we have for first graders in the Reading Simplified Academy, where they would read the E text and search for the E spellings after they've read it and discussed it. So they could circle all these E's, and then they could go back, and the teacher could say, now what was that key sentence again? So, something about he sees many of these each year. And then let's see, we have that word speech. So where would that go on your sorted page? Now the student could either tap with a pencil if you don't have enough time to get them to write it all, but if they have some time, writing it again is super helpful, because research has even shown, as you probably already know this, just from practice, but researchers have even tested it, the act of handwriting is superior in terms of getting stuff into memory. Even moving tiles is inferior to writing it, even typing. So they tested those kinds of contrasting activities, all kinesthetic, but only handwriting has the upper hand, so to speak, in getting the phonics to stick. So you can do a sorted activity, then find a text that targets that sound. It could be any text that's mostly decodable with a lot of that sound, and ideally it would have more than one spelling, because we want to get this in the kid's head. Hey, there is one sound but lots of spellings for it. So if you have a text that's just the E, sorry about that, just this like double E, it may not be as ideal as a text that has multiple spellings. On the other hand, if that's all you have, then maybe on Monday you read one with the double E, and Tuesday you read one with the EA, etc. So the freebie for today, in honor of Martin Luther King, and also in honor of you guys hanging out here with me, will be this packet, okay? So there's actually two types of passages and sorted pages. The one that you saw above was for first grade, and then this one is for second and third graders. Notice the words are a little harder here to sort: between and reach, and nearly and speed and story. Those are still high frequency, but not necessarily the top 300. Sorry about that. Let's get this out of the way. Hi, Julie. I've got a new program here, and I am not good at it, am I? They updated me. They updated my program. Okay, we got rid of that. So I was pointing out that these E's here are a little harder than the E's here in the first grade passage. Notice the E in eat, and then E in need, and the E in happy. So that's one way that you can differentiate the same activity, sort it, but different words. So you could even have the same class. Some kids over here are doing sort it with words like eat and he and need, and some kids over here, a different group, are also doing the E sound, but they're doing it with slightly harder words like between and study and remember. And then similarly, you could give them differentiated passages. So in the Reading Simplified Academy, we offer this passage that's like the second and third grade. Notice it's got multi-syllable words. We put breaks there because these are beginnings. They're beginners at multi-syllable. And we highlight a few letter combinations that they may not have been taught yet, but you'll notice they still are going to read a lot of words that have the E sound. Martin Luther King Jr. was a very famous American. He made a speech in Washington, D.C. in 1963, over 50 years ago. And then people, now people is irregular, so I would just say that's so weird. That doesn't really happen in almost any other word, so we're not going to include it in our chart. But it's interesting to note, and that's how you spell that funky word, people. And they keep searching for the E's, and then after they've read it, discussed it, and searched for the sound, they can also go back and either point to where it was in the sorted passage or write it again. And remember, when they write it, it's super important that they say the sounds B, E, tween, and the whole time they're writing that E and between at the end, they're saying E, because we want them to connect sound and symbol. So these two activities I have found are Really powerful for getting phonics to stick. Now, this isn't everything that we do, but this is the kind of the bread and butter. This will be about 80% of what you need to do to get phonics to stick. And you can do it in a short time period, maybe 1 week per sound, like 1 week for O, 1 week for E, 1 week for A, etc., etc., and then for 1 week for and 1 week for ow, moving on up into spellings that become actually less and less frequent and easier to master because there's just so few of them, or they don't really impact our kids' decoding early on. And then the next thing you know, your kids are able to attack more authentic text, get quickly into real reading like Henry and Mudge or Elephant and Piggy, because they've got this phonics knowledge really solid. They have the key sentence to hook things by, and this one was a little harder because we added another E. So this key sentence is, as he dreams of cookies, he sees many of these. All of those have the E spelling. And so it's a mental hook for kids to memorize all that information. It's a lot easier than doing the slow drip method or the random method or the method of organizing things by rules that really don't work. So I see that Melody has given us her thoughts on how her students are doing with sorted, and I think there's some fancy way that I can bring it up for you guys, but I'm not able to figure that out. So let me just read what Melody said. Melody said, my kids love sorted because they start to feel successful. Yeah, really quickly they can gain a lot of knowledge, can't they? It has been eye-opening for my students and for me as well. This has led to them becoming excited when finding the key sound in any reading passage. Thank you for this, Marnie. My pleasure. It's been really powerful for me too, because mostly I tutor or I get to work with teachers who are working with kids. So either way, I've seen a lot of success for it. And Lisa says, not only is sorted great for helping with reading, but they make a huge impact for spelling. Absolutely. The students will use all the ways to make A to figure out the visually correct word. This cements the program for sure. Neat. That is a great point. The purpose of sorted primarily is to get them quick access into reading real words, but a nice side benefit is that they have super strong sound symbol processing, and then also because of that schema or mental framework of these columns and the key sentence, it's just like, oh, I'm going to pull out that file. As he dreams of cookies, he sees many of these. Oh, cookies. I think I can remember how to spell cookies. That's an E that might be in this word field. I think, so they make that kind of connection a little more quickly. So please go to the post that is above or below, I'm not sure, and you should be able to find this free PDF if you don't already have it, if you're a member of our Reading Simplified Academy. And if you have any questions about it, please let me know, because I will still be following along this live after it goes out into the world and starts to catch on to the replay. So if you don't understand something or you have hit a snag with it, I'd love to know. I'd love to know if you've given these a try, like Melody and Lisa, and what you find. But even if you hit a snag, do let me know, because I want to help you work through it. Let's see if there's anything else from you guys tonight. I didn't send out an email, so it's a smaller group than usual, but I'm still glad that you lucky few are here. Thank you for being cheerleaders and showing up. But I think it may be time to sign off. So again, this has been Marnie Ginsberg at Reading Simplified, where our mission is to streamline instruction and accelerate student achievement, sort it, and reading targeted decodable text and search for the sound. Those are a pairing that work really well to make sure your phonics sticks. And that's what we want to see happen rapidly, because once the phonics layer is established, then word identification happens, and the reading system gets built much more rapidly than in a lot of mainstream programs. So look us up at readingsimplified.com if you haven't encountered us before, and like our Facebook page, because we're going to be going live at this time, 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, and many times we give away freebies, but either way, we're doing professional development for free, and we'd love to answer your questions. And so I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Thanks for being here. Now the trick part is saying goodbye.